a panic has set in Miami because of how bad the open practice
I yelled
was.
at everyone yesterday. The whole show. But they practice against the Lions. No one practices harder. What's the matter with everyone down here? Have you ever formed an opinion off of practice? I used to tell my lacrosse team to practice poorly in case anyone was watching so they think we suck. I mean, seriously. I'm just rolling right now.
I know. I love it.
I mean, who cares about practice? Practice. Talking about practice.
Not a game. Not the game we love and we'll die for and do podcasts about. No, not a game. We're talking about practice.
Unbelievable. Now they have no shot of doing anything this year, the Dolphins, because of one bad practice against the team that practices harder than any team in the history of the NFL. And if they don't, their coach will cut them. I mean, seriously. Oh, we're going to suck. We're terrible. Tua, he can't do this. I didn't get the out of here. You have Tua. He's an MVP candidate a couple of years ago. You have Tyreek Hill. If he's right, if he's healthy, he's an MVP candidate this year. You have Jalen Waddle. Your team's fine. The division is lousy. Why? Because the Jets are in that division. Yes, Buffalo is good. The Patriots might be a little bit better, but I'm not going to be surprised if the Dolphins finish second place AFC East, little 10-7, sneak into the playoffs as an 8th seed. How about that?
Wow.
Yeah.
Don't
fucking practice.
Don't the top 7 make the playoffs?
Yeah, outside looking in. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
How do you think Dan Campbell feels about Mike McDaniel? He definitely looks down at him.
You think
I can answer this question.
Yeah.
I can answer this question.
Yeah.
He looks at, for everybody that's seen the movie 300, he looks at him the same way the Spartan leader looks at the Athenian leader. It's the same thing. What is your profession?
Listen, you thought you were all smart. You thought you were smarter. Football doesn't get down to smarts. It gets down to practice. No one cares about intelligence. We care about toughness. I will be here for the remainder of time. Mike McDaniel, you will be fired inside of 12 months. You will be. McDaniel, well, unless they sneak into the playoffs as an 8th seed, and then they're fine. There's only 7 teams, huh?
That make the playoffs.
With the vibes around this Dolphins team this bad going into the season, doesn't that game against the Broncos feel like it was like 10 years ago where they beat them like 70-20?
Oh, yeah.
It feels like an eternity ago.
They were the talk of the NFL.
You weren't going to stop Mike McDaniel. You weren't going to stop him.
Yeah. I mean, at that time, McDaniel was looking at Dan Campbell, and he was making judgments. Yeah. Look at you. Physicality. Tough guy. You're strong. I'm a little weasel with weird hair and weird glasses, and I put 70 up on the Denver Broncos. McDaniel's a weirdo, huh?
Yeah.
A little bit.
Is he the weirdest coach of the NFL?
Yeah, and it's kind of gone from like cool to weird because of the losing. That's
what
like
losing does. Yes,
the messenger.
Exactly. It's one of like Dan Campbell is this juggernaut, this Spartan because he's winning. If Dan Campbell starts losing, he just becomes a hardo.
A doofus.
Yeah, like shut up, dude. Like we used to make fun of him, like the bite kneecap stuff. We were no. Shut up, Dan Campbell. And then all of a sudden he started winning, and we're like, yeah, bite kneecaps.
Let me be very clear about Dan Campbell. All we did was make fun of him. No one took him seriously as the head coach. And then he started winning. And then suddenly, it's amazing what winning does because, Mikey, you're so right. Then you start to look the part. It doesn't matter what you look like, but if you have wins attached to your name, you start to look the part. Mike McDaniel a couple of years ago looked the part because he was winning. He no longer does. And you're right about Dan Campbell. If he starts losing, he'll just be a doofus.
Yeah. Shut up, hardo.
Who is I'm trying to think of the weirdest weirdest head coach.
You got to be a weird guy to be an NFL coach, man. You just have to be. I mean,
Jim Harbaugh would be in that conversation, right?
Yeah. Jim Harbaugh is like
he's awful.
He's the gold standard. He's the gold standard
of weirdness,
of weird football world. He is the king. Mike McDaniel is up there.
Sirianni.
I mean, what's his name? I mean, remember Adam Gase?
But now Sirianni's the perfect example. He was a joke. Yeah, his own fans wanted him fired. They were giving him the finger. And then Sirianni has a Super Bowl. He has the Lombardi next to him and suddenly looks the part and everyone takes him seriously. It's a perfect example.
Yeah.
I mean, is there a coach who's looked cool regardless of winning or losing?
Andy Reid.
He doesn't
looks cool. Like Pat Riley for me.
Okay, I guess. All right. When I say looks cool, Andy Reid
doesn't look cool when he's winning.
But Andy Reid doesn't change a damn thing. That's what Andy Reid, the perception of Andy Reid hasn't changed. I didn't mean he looked cool. I just mean the perception of him has never changed. Right. But I mean, Harbaugh, when Harbaugh was winning, we were like, look at this great, look at him. He's a mad scientist. And then you're just kind of like, he's a loon. Like when he was losing at Michigan and when he was losing in San Francisco at the end, you're like, he's a loon. And
Total
then
loon.
Like when he was winning, you're like, that's just a weird guy who eats and breathes football.
I want that guy to be my coach.
Yeah, that's got to be my coach.
And then I saw Harbaugh at Augusta with his kids walking around. It was he's awkward. Jesus.
Do you get a cooler looking coach than Cliff Kingsbury?
Riley, all time Riley, I think.
Oh, okay, all right, okay.
Prime Riley.
Bro, we're crossing sports here.
Yeah, we're crossing sports. My bad. In the NFL,
even the shine on Kingsbury kind of started to wear off a little when he was losing with the Cardinals, where he
but
just
it's back. But it's back because he's Jaden Daniels' whisperer.
Yeah. Right. But
I have two nominations. I have two nominations for coaches that look cool no matter what.
Okay.
Jack Del Rio always looks cool. And I think part of it is the leather jacket.
No question about it.
Dude wore a suit on the sidelines, was like, this is how it used to be, and this is how I want it to be. And they're like, fine, you can wear a suit, but it has to have team colors. And unfortunately, it was teal because he was coaching the Jaguars when he did it. So he had to wear a teal tie, and it just looked weird.
I had dinner at a what's the name of the hotel in Bristol, Mikey, that we all stay at when we have to go up to ESPN?
The Doubletree.
Right. And there's a great restaurant in that lobby, right?
There is.
If I say so. Right. It's close to the water park in Bristol. And so
everything is.
And they have great cookies in this Doubletree. They're amazing cookies.
They do.
But I met Diana Rossini for dinner at that restaurant in the Doubletree. And Jack Del Rio was sitting like 4 tables away from us. We're sitting at the bar. He's sitting and so Diana says, "You're not listening. We should have Rossini on next week to simply tell this story." She said, "You're not listening to a single word I said." And she said, because it's Diana Rossini. And she started to get mad at me. She's like, "Are you going to pay attention? Why are you so distracted?" And I said, "Look who's sitting 4 tables away from us." And she turned around and it was Jack Del Rio. I was just staring at his hair.
And I'll bet she turned, and because she's so in on all that, she was like, "Hey, Jim." And he's like, "Hey, Diana, how are you?"
No, that's her boy. No, we ended up sitting with him.
Of course you did. Of course you did.
I had dinner with Taylor's coolest coach ever. Wasn't dinner. We had a drink. After dinner drink. All right, who else you got, Taylor?
Kyle Shanahan. He's like wearing the bomber jacket. He's got like the fitted hat on the sideline. He does look cool.
He was definitely cooler 2 years ago than he was last year. And
that's what I'm saying, right? The guy has to remain cool despite what's going on with his football team. That's what we're saying.
Yes. Yeah.
I think he's still cool.
I don't. Matt LaFleur is cool to me, win or lose. I mean, he never does really any big time winning, but he also doesn't do any big time losing. That guy just sits right in the middle. He is Todd Bowles.
Bruce Arians. Bruce Arians. There you go.
That's what makes him cool, right?
Yeah.
Is that the word association?
I can't believe you answered Andy Reid. Andy Reid's not cool when he's holding the Vince Lombardi.
I misunderstood the question. But yeah.
I think what Mikey was doing was just name a winning coach.
Yeah.
Yes.
And we were playing a different game.
Yes. I was playing the wrong game. I got to fly.
Is Tomlin cool? I feel like Tomlin's cool.
Yes.
Yeah.
My gut tells me he's cool.
Is.
Yeah.
But
really
but at the same time, he's kind of 9-8 cool, not like 12-4 cool.
Right. Well, listen, 12-4 Tomlin is a lot cooler than 9-8 Tomlin. There's no question about it. But Tomlin seems cool. Like he's cool. Mike Tomlin's cool.
Yeah.
He's a hard ass, but he's cool, man. I think.
What about Liam Coen? Liam Coen's not cool. No. Liam Coen could take the Jaguars to like he could win 12 games this year and he's still not cool.
Oh, he'll get cooler if he wins 12 this year and makes Trevor Lawrence a good quarterback. You don't think, Mikey? Let's do. This is the perfect example.
Can't wait to see that.
Anyone would agree that Liam Coen right now is not cool. Anyone? This is great. Let's follow Liam. Okay. In fact, I'm going to ask Baselli to get him on. Okay.
I'm kind of rooting for them to do good so I can follow this experiment all year.
Okay.
So I can be like, that Liam Coen, kind of a cool guy.
Well, so here's the interesting thing. So 0-0 Liam Coen is not cool.
No.
Can he get any less cooler if he starts the season 0-3? I'm not certain he can get less cooler than he is right now. So I think there's only upside for Liam Coen.
That press conference set him back so far. The introduction press conference with the Duval mention.
Yes. He's almost 0-2, right?
Yes.
Yeah. He started 0-2.
He put his team in a hole.
All that's missing was the Adam Gase eyes at the introductory press conference, and it would have been over. He's fired at the press conference.
Never cool, Gase. Start to finish. The coolest Adam Gase was when he was playing golf with me and he had a heater. That was about it.
There you go.
No one was more surprised than me. Oh, my God. All right,
Dave Canales.
Well, hold on. Let's do this experiment. What was the – Canales is cool. Yeah. He's cool.
But I also think I'm just kind of doing Dave Canales is hot.
Well, he's good looking. Yes.
Just hot equal cool.
It doesn't hurt. It's definitely it's a factor. I mean,
because you can be cool without being hot.
Yes. I don't think I've ever heard Dave Canales talk. I don't know how to assess it. Yeah.
All right. I hope to never hear him talk. Just stand there at his press conference. 15 minutes of this. Take it all in. So Liam Coen. Go ahead. So we all agree that he's not cool.
Yes.
And what I would like to do is let's have a cool meter kind of sort of for Liam Coen. So if let's see what he looks like if he gets off to a 2-0 start. Nothing's going to change. In fact, he's going to look worse because he's already into the season. They have no time to get haircuts. They're not grooming themselves. He's going to look worse, but I guarantee you 2-0 he looks cooler. So we'll do this week to week, okay? And I will ask you guys, Liam Coen, how's he look?
I love the idea that we will absolutely not follow through with because we're us, of asking a guest every week, a different person, how cool is Liam Coen, and seeing how the numbers change. Now, we will not do that because we will forget by the end of by Matthew Berry, we will forget to ask.
Oh, yeah, Matthew Berry going to join us here.
Yeah, how about
Get you ready for your fantasy football draft. Not cool, but cooler when he's hanging out with LeBron James, Josh Allen, guys like that, right? Because they invested into his fantasy company. So Mikey, we can do this. We have Golick on every week. We have Sims on every week. We have Mojo and the boys.
I would like to ask a different person every week. How cool is Liam Coen? Scale of 1 to 10. We don't need a follow-up. We don't need to explain why. Just, hey, scale of 1 to 10. How cool is Liam Coen?
So
I guarantee you.
Okay, so the week leading into the first week of the NFL season, we ask everyone, is Liam Coen cool? No one's going to say yes, right?
1 to 10. How cool is it?
And then we see based on the results. Okay. So the next week, we don't tell anyone anything. You're right about that. So they're 1-0 now. Liam Coen. Cool.
Cool.
See what they say.
How cool. Liam Coen. 1 to 10.
We have to ask the same people. Right. Okay.
Yeah, I like it.
Who are we going to ask? Because you're right. We're going to totally forget about this.
We're going to totally forget about this.
I like asking Mojo and those guys.
Of course, we got to ask them.
Right.
K-Funk will be upset if we ask and they don't ask how cool is K-Funk.
I asked Jabba. I asked, Tony Khan is also invested. Jabba might be back now.
What?
I mean, listen.
Stu, every time Billy tweets about the Marlins, Jabba Chamberlain tweets back at Billy, "You're not allowed to talk about baseball. That's why I'm not working with you guys."
I miss him.
If Jabba knew how much Billy loves baseball.
Oh my God. No one loves baseball more than Billy.
Nobody loves football more than Billy.
Well, no, that goes without saying.
I mean,
but really, we all know if Billy had his way, he'd be doing God bless baseball.
So Taylor and I were talking before, and ESPN took something that we should have absolutely done, and I wish that you would have done it because it would have been so much better. They predicted before a game was played in college football, every bowl game. I mean, the Gasparilla Bowl.
Who's playing in
predicted. Who's playing in it? Who's playing in it, Taylor?
Yeah,
the Union Home Mortgage Gasparilla Bowl. Vanderbilt versus North Carolina.
Wow.
Big game.
How about that? Hey, that's a game.
Yeah, but
that's a game.
Mikey, hold on a second. That is a game. Taylor has loftier expectations than the Gasparilla Bowl for North Carolina. You and I both know that. He read that and he's like, "F you, ESPN."
The other analyst
who wrote
it was Schleybaugh.
Mark Schleybaugh.
Yes.
Yeah. I want Schleybaugh if we can, guys. Get Schleybaugh on the show next week. I just want to ask him why.
How he got to all of them.
Just why. Why did you feel the need to tell us who's going to be playing in the Gasparilla Bowl in August? I won't care about the Gasparilla Bowl when it's on. I mean,
the Snoop Dogg Arizona Bowl, Bowling Green, Fresno State. That's a game.
Wow.
That's a game.
Wow. Snoop. That is a game. What do you have?
I got Fresno State minus 2.5.
I think Carolina's going to blow someone out in the Gasparilla Bowl. Who are they playing?
Vandy.
Oh, Vandy. Get out of here, Vandy.
Vandy's been the star of that Any Given Saturday show, Stu. Episode 3 where they beat Alabama.
Well, yeah, because they had some monster victories, right? I've watched it. It's
The beginning of the episode is them just kind of setting up how bad Vanderbilt football is, and then they cut to Clark Lee, and Clark Lee, who played at Vanderbilt, was like, "I'm here to be the savior of Vanderbilt football." And they let it pause for a bit so people could laugh at him calling himself the savior of Vanderbilt football. And he's like, to win at Vanderbilt, that's the mindset you have to have.
Right. Yes.
It's not
be
wrong.
A savior.
Who's deluding themselves more, him or Aaron Glenn?
I'm waiting for a Jet quarterback to have that mindset. All they're thinking about is, I'm not saving this shit. I just want to get the fuck out of here. Do my 5 years and leave.
Go be a star for Las Vegas.
Seattle. Minnesota. Anywhere but us. God, I hate them. Oh my God.
Pop-Tarts Bowl, Louisville, Texas Tech. That's a game.
Wow.
Wow.
Mikey,
really?
can you look up where Baylor is playing? Because Lucy has provided us a college football cheat sheet to get fans caught up this offseason with where teams are at. And today her team is Baylor.
Today's team is Baylor. Baylor's a weird team. I want to just start off by saying, as we go through these team previews, every time I talk about a Big 12 team, just put a little asterisk there. Who knows? Who knows what's going on? I don't know. I'm like afraid to even talk about the Big 12. I don't want to touch that thing. I believe that in the Big 12, there's no team that has a win total higher than 8.5 or lower than 5. Nobody knows. Vegas is like, we really don't even want anything to do with this. This is dangerous territory. So we're talking about the Big 12 with just one giant shoulder shrug question mark. Baylor is a team that's really weird because they started off the season pretty bad, and Dave Aranda completely turned that around. They have a really good quarterback in Sawyer Robinson, who we just haven't really talked about because Baylor was so bad in the beginning of the season. But I think they're on track to be much better this year. They had a really good offense, top 20 offense last season. Who knew? Not me. Which is probably bad. I should have known that. And they're returning 4 starters on the offensive line. They're returning their running back. They're in a good spot. Plus, Dave Aranda is continuing to call plays on the defense, which made a very big difference last season. So I think Baylor is going to be better, but I'm not making any Big 12 prediction. I'm not touching that shit. No, thank you.
Who knows? I'll tell you who knows. Mark Schlabach knows.
No, yeah.
And he's got him in the AutoZone Liberty Bowl against Oklahoma.
Wow.
The Sooners.
That's a game.
Wait, that's a disappointing year for the Sooners. I mean,
Liberty Bowl, big game.
Why? When?
Liberty Bowl.
Taylor, put it on the poll. Was the Liberty Bowl ever a big game? Ever?
The AutoZone Liberty Bowl.
Also put this on the poll. Does Andy Reid look cool even when he... is Andy Reid the only coach who doesn't look cool when lifting the Lombardi Trophy? I had some more poll questions. Hold on. Should someone go to prison for playing Joe Burrow in the preseason? That was from Billy a week ago. I just brought it back. I had some more. That was a great question by Billy. It's a great take. I'll also put this on the poll. Were the Colts fortunate to get an Anthony Richardson injury early?
It's terrible.
It was Billy.
Right. It's terrible.
You think Billy would look cool? Billy does not fancy himself to be a cool guy. He doesn't. I don't think he does. Mikey, yeah, you've gotten to know him pretty well. Do you think he fancies himself as someone who's cool?
When he's winning.
Right. That's what I was going to ask you guys. If he was winning, do you think he would look cooler? I've seen Billy when he's winning. He does look cool.
Yeah, he does look cooler.
Doesn't know it, but I've seen it. Yes, he looks cooler.
Winning plus haircut, he looks cool.
Yes.
Fresh haircut.
Yes. My daughters think Billy is the funniest guy on our show. By a lot.
They're not wrong. They're not wrong.
I know.
They're not wrong.
They think he's cool, too. Glasses and all.
They're wrong. Now they're wrong. Nobody's cool on our show.
I got to be honest. My daughters have never said a word to me about Billy. I don't know why I felt the need to do that.
God bless
what
them.
an odd thing for my daughters to comment on. I mean, they're 22. They're 21. But, I mean, they're 21. Why would they comment on Billy Gill? Why would they sit there? Hey, Rach is sitting with Emma. Hey, Em, let's rank the coolest guys on the Lepitard show.
You know who's cool? That Billy Gill guy.
Billy.
That guy. Cool.
Being cool amongst our show does not make you cool. It just makes you cooler than a bunch of dorks. Me included, by the way.
Of course.
Because I would make that for many years. I think I probably was the coolest on our show. And I think now it's got to be Jeremy Teche.
Oh, my God.
At one time, was Jess the coolest person on our show? Yeah.
Yeah.
Chris Cody? Yes. No. No.
When Tony came, I would say he went to Tony.
Stop. Coolest guy on our show. Period. And Tony be 0-16, man, and he would look hot. I meant cool.
Andy Reid.
Matthew Berry next. How many leagues are you in, Matthew Berry?
Remains to be seen. Last year I was in 32. I suspect it'll be more this year.
What?
Because I added at least one more. Like, as far as I know, every league that I was in last year is coming back. And I added at least one more. I actually added two more. I've actually added two more in the last 2 days. One of which is I'm going to show with a bunch of the people on the Dan Le Batard show with Stugotz. Are you aware of this? Has Chris talked to you about this? We're doing this.
No. Well, Chris was supposed to get this done last year, and he forgot to call you. So I'm assuming he got it done this year.
Yes, I did Greg's show yesterday, and we discussed it. And Chris and I had a business meeting. Actually, I had a business meeting with Chris. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So anyway, it was good. And so anyway, with Chris and Anthony and everything like that. So I'm looking forward to it. So it'll be fun.
All right. Well, I'm glad it took Chris a year to get back to you. Well,
it's all good. It's all good. All right.
Of those 32 leagues,
I know you like to just sort of start when you pop on. Yeah. When you pop on the thing, it's just like, okay, are we starting? You're like, oh no, we've been rolling for 5 minutes. So
yeah, well, it's been 8 minutes.
Are we actually starting, or have we just been rolling?
No, we started at how many fantasy leagues are you in? That's where we started. Just so you're
okay. Fair enough.
Yeah. Got it. The 32 leagues you were in last year, how many did you win?
31. No. In all seriousness, about 12. I think I won 12 last year.
Okay, cool.
12 of the 32. Cool. I made the playoffs in 29. Nice.
Listen, you're a legend, man. You're a trailblazing pioneer. Do you realize that? When I say that to you, you agree with me? I know you do because you are, but that has to make you feel good, right?
Yes and no. Yes, obviously. But it also makes you feel old a little bit. You know what I mean? Like trailblazing pioneer, yes, if I can say it without ego, I don't know if you can. I feel like it's hard to call yourself that without sounding totally douchey. So I appreciate other people saying it.
Yeah, you got it.
But that, I have been graciously, and honestly, if I'm being honest here, I think it's deserved, but I've been, I've been called the godfather of fantasy football and a trailblazer and everything like that. And so I am incredibly flattered by that and gracious, and, hopefully it's many, many, many years from now. Hopefully it's, it's 5 decades from now. But whenever I die, the first line of my obituary is going to say fantasy football in it. I know that, right? It will. And so, and that's an awesome legacy, right? It's a game that literally 60 million people now play, right? And I'm not claiming I invented it, but I do think I'm, a big part of why it's popular, help its growth. And so, I'm honored when people recognize that, when people are appreciative of that, when people bring that up. But I also feel like I'm not done. In terms of what we're building with Fantasy Life, what we're building with Guillotine leagues, I'm constantly trying to push the ball forward, right? Stugotz, again, I'm trying not to be douchey about this, right? But right,
I'm the one who called you a trailblazing legend, pioneer, right? Go ahead.
I always, my belief is that I cannot stop. My mission on this earth, is to be a good father, to be a good husband, but also to make sure that every man, woman, and child plays fantasy football in some way, shape, or fashion. And until I'm done, until we get there, my work on this earth is not done. And so when I'm able to push the ball forward for the fantasy football community, that's what makes me proud. That's what makes me happy. And so this past week, a couple days ago, I was on the Tonight Show with Jimmy Fallon. And it was my second appearance on the show, and which thrilled, awesome, that's amazing. It's just kind of a bucket list sort of thing. But this particular episode, so the first time I was on the show, it was on 2 years ago. They were on hiatus in August last year. But the first time I was on the show, it was a lot of they were hey, fantasy football expert Matthew Berry. But what we talked about was, hey, you were in Avengers, and we talked general entertainment stuff was the kind of the crux of it. This particular time, I told a George Carlin story because I worked for him. But the rest of the interview was, give me, hey, if you have the number one pick, who are you drafting? Give me a sleeper. Who's a guy that's not going to do as well? And we talked a little bit about Fantasy Life. And so the fact that I I was on the Tonight Show, like the legendary, like whatever, Jack Parr, Johnny Carson, Jay Leno, Jimmy Fallon, like the
Crazy.
Tonight Show. And somebody's asking me like a legit fantasy football question on the Tonight Show after Pierce Brosnan's been on. Like I'm following James Bond, and all of a sudden Jimmy's asking me a sleeper question. Like to me, like I think that's amazing. Like I obviously I'm personally thrilled to be on it and the opportunity, but just they're talking about fantasy football on the Tonight Show.
Crazy.
Right? And we're at NBC obviously, and this year we have the Super Bowl. And assuming I don't do anything stupid to get myself fired between now and the Super Bowl, I'm going to be on the Super Bowl pregame show. And I'm going to be like the first fantasy football guy to be on a Super Bowl pregame show.
Love
like,
it.
Yes. like it's stupid. And it's incredible. And so I hopefully that paves a path for other people that do what I do, that do what we do, to also continue to go down that path and go further than me ever could imagine. And, that's what gets me excited.
I mean, he goes on Fallon and a Geo and Boomer fucking interview breaks out. Fantasy questions. I love that. It's crossed over. You made it mainstream, Matthew. You did.
That's what's awesome about it, right?
Yes.
Like, I think I posted this. I said, if you told me as a kid or even 5 years ago that I would be on the Tonight Show talking about fake football with Jimmy Fallon, mind blowing.
Yeah.
And by the way, now I'm in their fantasy league. They asked me to be in the Jimmy Fallon fantasy league.
Of course.
Of course, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm gonna ask you the coolest league you're in.
So I might be 34 this year.
Right. Well, of course you're in that. Right now you're up to 30. I think you're up to 35 since we started. You started at 32, and now you're up to 35.
I might have. Somebody might have just signed me up.
I'm going to ask you the coolest fantasy league that you're in just a second. But what did you do for George Carlin? I never heard that before. I didn't know you worked for Carlin.
It was my first job out of college. I was his assistant.
Really?
I was George's assistant. Yeah.
Legend.
Yeah. I've had, Stugotz, as you know, I've had the weirdest career of all time, and just a crazy path. But technically, I was the stage production assistant for the George Carlin show, which was a sitcom he did for Fox in like 93 or 94, something like that. Like I graduated in 92, and I worked at a toy store. I did whatever, but my first showbiz job was as George Carlin's assistant on the George Carlin show, which is a sitcom that he did for Fox. And so I worked for him, for a little over a year, and loved him, loved him. He was the sweetest guy. He was so amazing. He was the first guy on set. He was the last guy to leave. His first day on the job, he knew every person's name on the set. He knew every camera crew, every grip. He knew everyone. It was at a time, if you remember back in that time, remember Roseanne? Remember the Roseanne show? And
of course.
And there was a sitcom called Grace Under Fire with a comedian named Brett Butler. Yep. And so there was all these, and Moonlighting was big, or Sybil Shepherd had a show called Sybil. And so there were all these shows, and there was all these rumors that came about sort of diva behavior on the set, and Roseanne was firing people, every other day, and it was just chaos there, and similar on Grace Under Fire or Sybil. And George was very aware of that. And George was I remember George saying to me once, something like that sort of came up in conversation. He didn't bring it up, but somebody's like, I have a buddy working over Roseanne. You're not gonna believe what she just did, and told some crazy story. And George pulled me aside. He says, if you ever see me do anything in the stratosphere of that, you pull me aside and yell at me and say, no, George, we don't do that. It was very important to him that everyone have a great working time at the show. It was important to him that, that it was a job, but also that they enjoyed it. And that, and he was he talked about the fact that it comes from the top. And, I'm sure, it's the same at Meadowlark with you guys, right? In terms of if you've got somebody awesome at the top, it trickles down. Trickles down. And so we've done that with Fantasy Life. One of the things I'm most proud of is Fantasy Life. I have a CEO named Elliot Chris. And when I hired Elliot, it was just the two of us 3 years ago. And I said, here's my only rule. No assholes.
Right.
Literally, no, I don't care how talented they are. No assholes.
Love that, Matt. Yes.
And that's my only rule as we build this company. And last year, Sports Business Journal and Front Office Sports named us one of the best places to work in sports. And that's an anonymous thing. Your employees have to submit it, you know what I mean? And they interview employees anonymously with a third party. We have 25 full-time employees. And so the fact that everyone, and we're fully remote. So it's not, it's people walking into their living room and turning on a Zoom. And And so the fact that we won that from two separate, organizations that are well respected,
so cool,
means a lot to me. But yes, I was George Carlin's assistant for a year, and so Jimmy asked me about that on the show.
Carlin was so good. He got better as he aged, which is rare for a comedian, right? Like he was just as good at 70 as he was at 30, He was so brilliant in the way he looked at the world. Like, and it's so funny, by the way, if anyone's like, some of your younger listeners are may not aware of his comedy, like go watch clips on YouTube. Because what's amazing is the stuff that he was talking about 20 years ago, especially about politics and the world and how leaders think of things, are all so relevant today. Like it's crazy. Anyway, so yeah, I have a couple of George Carlin stories, and I told one to Jimmy on the show. And anyway, he's a wonderful man. Awesome. Taylor, are you familiar with George Carlin? Do you know who we're talking about right now? My guess is Taylor would rather meet Chris Carlin than George. He's more familiar with Chris Carlin.
I know he's a late night talk show host.
George Carlin? No, he's a stand-up.
No, he's not. I went for a guess.
He was a very famous comedian, kind of counterculture, and he has a bunch. This is back in the day when you made comedy albums, but like he had gold and platinum comedy albums. He used to do a bunch of HBO specials. There's a legendary one called Carlin at Carnegie, where he was at Carnegie Hall. That he did, and so he had some movie roles and everything like that, and some sitcoms. But he's most known for just sort of brilliant stand-up. He has a lot of famous routines, but probably his most legendary one is the 7 dirty words you can't say on television. Right. So that was his routine, and George was obsessed with words, and he was always just like, it's insane to me. And this is how the genesis of that routine, and then he built upon it. But his thought was that there's no such thing as a dirty word. There's no such thing as a racist word. There's no such thing as, it's all about intent. It's all about context. He's like, you can say, oh, that's a dirty word. That's not a dirty word. It's a word. It's all about how you mean that word. He goes, I can make anything dirty. He would say like, oh, hey, George, what are you doing tonight? Hey, you want to go out? No, I can't go out. The wife wants me home to walk the dog. You know what I mean? Like, he's like, yeah, sorry, I'd be there, but, my honey asked me to mow the grass. He's just like, it's all about intent. It's all about context. He's like, there's nothing dirty about mowing the grass or walking the dog, but you say it a certain way. You give it context around, my wife asked me to come over. My girlfriend asked me to come over to mow her grass. And so, you know what I mean? And so that was his whole point. And there was much of his comedy was, at least some of his comedy was all about sort of the English language and meaning and context, and so he was fascinated by it, and just a brilliant mind, and whatever. I could talk about.
No, I love it. I love George Carlin. I didn't know you worked for him. Like Matt, this is why I like talking to you. Every single time we talk, I discover something new about you. You have the most interesting life in the world, man. It's crazy.
I've had the weirdest career path of all time. There's no question.
Yep. Taylor, why don't you go ahead and tell Matthew Berry who you confused George Carlin for? Go ahead.
So the mix-up, I was thinking of Johnny Carson.
Right.
Okay.
Okay, good.
Well, I will say he was on Johnny Carson quite a bit. Very different comedian. Johnny was very kind of mainstream, milquetoast, had to be in people's bedrooms at 11:30 at night. Johnny was Carlin was controversial and outspoken and counterculture, and still to this day has a cult following.
Matthew, I saw your fantasy life business that you talked about. So I saw you got investments from LeBron James, from Josh Allen, Joe Burrow, amongst others. I'm wondering, by the way, I think you offered me an opportunity to invest in this a year ago. Chris Cody never got back to you, but I am wondering if you wouldn't mind explaining to the audience, how does that kind of go down? Like, how does LeBron just call you and say, hey, I want to invest my money into your business?
Yeah, I just text LeBron. I'm like, yo, LJ, you in? And he's like, yeah, sure. No.
For you, anything.
No, Matt, that's believable to us. No, I'm serious. Jay-Z is texting you all the time. I mean.
Yes, I appreciate that. It's different with each investor. It's different with every single investor in terms of how you approach them. In some cases, So I'll give you a quick couple of examples, but maybe this might be interesting, right? So in the case of LeBron James, specifically, is that his business partner is Maverick Carter. Yep. I think people probably know Maverick, CEO of Spring Hill. He's also on The Shop, which is the show they do on YouTube. And, so Maverick is a celebrity in his own right. And so I'm in a fantasy league with Maverick. And so I have been for, handful of years. And a mutual friend put us in the same league together. And so at one point, what I did is I just texted Maverick. And I said, hey, I have a potential piece of business. Do you have somebody that handles your business for you? Or could I pitch it to you? I would love to see if I have an opportunity that I would love to get your feedback on. And he said, great. And he said, he said, let's set up a time. And so we set up a time to talk. And he said, no, you don't need to go through anyone. Just, pitch it to me. And so I got on the Zoom with him, and he brought along a guy named Jason Stein. Jason Stein runs a private equity firm called SC Holdings, and they are partners. Among Jason's titles is special advisor to LeBron and Maverick. Wow. And they do a lot of partners. SC Holdings and LRMR Ventures, which is the family office of LeBron and Maverick, do a lot of business together. And so Maverick brought Jason to hear the pitch as well. And so there was somebody else there from LRMR, and that's why I pitched them, we're raising this amount of money at this valuation, and here's the business. Here's what we've accomplished so far. Here's our vision for where we go. We have a whole pitch. And if you ever see Shark Tank, it's a little bit like that. It's longer and more evolved. Shark Tank is basically done for TV, and it's cut down, but that's basically what it is. You go and you say, here's who I am. Here's what I'm looking. Here's the amount of money I'm trying to raise. Here's the valuation. So your money would get this amount of, percentage of my company. And here's the idea. Wow. And, and they ask questions. And so in that particular case, Maverick after it was like, I love it. I'm in. And Jason Stein said, and so, Maverick brings LeBron in. That's Maverick's job is to handle the business for the two of them. And so, and then Jason Stein said, I was just here to give advice to Maverick as to whether or not he should do the deal. But honestly, I love it. I'm in too. SC Holdings is going to put in as well. So it's great. Good. And so, that's how I got LeBron. Now I've met LeBron a handful of times, but I did not pitch LeBron James the business. I pitched it to Maverick. In the case of, but there are other ways that you get it. So David Blitzer is one of our investors. David Blitzer is the co-owner of the Washington Commanders, the New Jersey Devils, the Philadelphia 76ers, Cleveland Guardians, Crystal Palace. And so I knew one of the guys that does investments for him. So I pitched it to one of his people, a guy named Tori, and Tori liked it, and Tori brought it to David, and I met David.
You knew the guy that can get you to the guy, right?
Yeah, but you know what I mean? And so, but by the way, they really liked it. Blitzer put in, and David's become a friend, and he's awesome and amazing. And but then they also said, we do a bunch of business with Larry Fitzgerald. Larry Fitzgerald has a fund called Trenches Capital, and so we'd like to bring this to Larry. Okay, and so the next thing I'm on a Zoom with Larry Fitzgerald, and I'm pitching it to him. Yeah. And Larry's in. So Larry's on our deck. And so it's partially me doing outreach. It's partially other people on my cap table saying, I believe in this, and I have this buddy, or I know this other person that I think would want to be in. Right. And so I'm happy to talk about anyone on the cap table if you want to ask specifically how I got to that person. But it's a combination of anything where it's just hey, somebody, hey, can you, or me calling somebody and saying, hey, Stugotz, I have a piece of business for Dan. Could you introduce me to Dan? Right. Something like that. Going to a friend and, getting a warm intro,
Yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah.
Chris Cody, can you get me to Stugotz? And he didn't, and so you missed out. And so when we sell this for a ton of money, Stugotz, you can just sit there and go, Chris.
Wait, can I still invest in this? I want to be a part of this, Matt.
Next round I will call you. This particular round is closed.
The price has gone up.
Yeah. Jesus Christ. No, he wanted to be in on the bottom floor last year. I'm telling you, Jesus Christ. Wait, so when's the next round? Are you going to call me on the second round of funding here for real? Are you going to do it? Because I'm committed to this.
Sure. Yeah, I'd be happy to. We love you 1,000%. 1,000%. We will probably raise next year. We'll probably raise in a year. So
okay.
We just closed this big round, and we're happy, and but we will likely raise in another year.
Right. I mean, you got LeBron, Burrow, Allen. I mean, who the fuck needs me anymore?
John Legend. We have John Legend. We have Chad Hurley, the co-founder of YouTube. We have Donald Mustard, the creator of Fortnite. We have Roger Ehrenberg, co-owner of the Miami Marlins. I mentioned Blitzer. We have Jeff Shell, who is now the president of Paramount and CBS. Just got named 2 days ago. So Jerry Cardinal, who runs Redbird Capital, legendary investor. So anyway, it's and I'm sure I'm forgetting a bunch of other people as well. So it's we're incredibly. I have to tell you that these are all people that I admire, that I'm that I'm a big fan of, that I've studied their business and how they built their businesses. Yeah. Casey Wasserman as well as as one of our investors and our advisor, and the fact that so many people that I admire, that I look up to, that are like my heroes, were like, yes, I believe in what you're building, and I'd like to be a part of that journey, is like crazy to me. It's awesome.
All right, Matt, let's get some fantasy football questions in here. Mikey, go ahead.
I want to start. You're in 37 leagues at this point.
It's too many.
What's the strangest rule, or because you posted on Twitter today, somebody picking a draft order because they handed Drake May a sign and just wrote the draft, which is awesome that when the players are in on that. So what's the strangest sort of rule or something that is in one of those leagues for you?
The strangest rule. Well, I mean, we can talk about Guillotine leagues, which I love. Guillotine Leagues is a brand we bought, and this is what I pitched last year that I think we're going to get to do it this year on the Le Batard show, and I'm going to be in that league. So hopefully you guys all join. But the idea of Guillotine League is basically a weekly elimination format, and so in essence we'll have a league like normal, and you can have up to 18 people, as you'll see. It doesn't matter how many people are in the league, as long as it's not over 18. You draft a team. You have a league. You draft a team like normal. You start a lineup like normal. At the end of the week, the team with the lowest score in the league gets cut, chopped. They're done. They're dead. Their season is over. And you keep doing that until only one team remains. Here's the other crazy twist. All the players on the team that died go back into the free agent pool.
Wow.
So every team has a first-round pick. Every team has a second-round pick. Every team has a pretty good quarterback. So it's week 6, and Jamar Chase and Saquon Barkley are on the waiver wire. So you're not sifting through fourth-string wide receivers. It's literally stars every single week. And if you think about it, as it gets smaller, at some point there'll be 7 teams left in the league, 5 teams left in the league, and so every team becomes a superstar team, and you literally find yourself, if you can last this long, which I often do, no big deal, just saying. If you find yourself there with one of the final 5 teams or whatever, you suddenly go I need a quarterback this week. Should I pick up Lamar Jackson off the waiver wire or Josh Allen? Because they're both sitting there. Because there's only 5 teams, and it's like you have crazy superstars on the waiver wire because you just don't. Somebody's like, well, I'm rolling with Jaden Daniels this week because I love his matchup. I don't need to grab Josh Allen.
Right.
And so it's just it's an incredibly addicting format, and you will find yourself glued to it because you're like, I got this. I just need to not finish last. And then there'll be a week where 2 guys are on a bye, somebody's injured, somebody has a bad game, another guy leaves the game early with a hammy, and you find yourself going to Monday night going if Josh Jacobs doesn't score a touchdown tonight, I'm dead. You know what I mean? And it's like a sweat like no other.
Yes. Yeah, but I love it because it's like, hey, just hang on, man. Just survive one more week, and I could have Josh Allen as my quarterback.
That's right. Again, you don't need to be the best player. You just need to be not the worst.
Yes.
Right? You don't have to outrun the lion. You just have to outrun your buddy. Right?
Matt, your ride or die player this year is Omarion Hampton, and I'm wondering, how did you land on Hampton being your ride or die, and how does the Rashawn Slater injury kind of affect your outlook? I was going to say,
in fairness, I picked him before Rashawn Slater, was out for the year. Obviously, they're all pro left tackle. By the way, how bummed are the Chargers too? I mean, they signed him to this massive deal and literally, so you feel bad for everyone. But the ride or die process is one that's become all consuming because it's now become such a thing, right? And because NBC always has the Hall of Fame game, which is the first game of the year. We didn't last year because of the Olympics, but the last 3 years since I've been here, we've had it. We brought, and that's the game they want me to announce it on. So I always have to do it early, right? And so in terms of Hampton, I just sort of, people were like, because for me, my ride or die is not only somebody that I think, basically it's somebody that I think is a known quantity, but takes the next step, right? So the year I did Jalen Hurts, people knew he was a quarterback, but I was like, this guy can be the number one quarterback in fantasy. And that year he actually was. The year I did Austin Eckler, he was going at the end of the second round, and they're like, well, he doesn't score any touchdowns. I'm like, I think he will. Look at their new offensive coordinator who's going to run him in the middle. And so that was the year that he broke out and had 18 touchdowns and was like the number 2 running back in fantasy. Like the year I did Amon-Ra St. Brown, I was like, this guy is one of the 5 best wide receivers in football in the actual NFL, and no one thinks of him like that. He was going like middle of the second round. And, that year I think he finished as wide receiver 3. So the idea is like, let me find somebody who is a known quantity, a proven quantity, but I think takes the next step. And at the moment, Omarion Hampton is being drafted just inside the top 50 overall. And he was going as like running back. I think he was going like running back 30. And I have him as a top 30 player and running back 13. That was my analysis. And so I just felt like there was such a big delta between where I personally ranked him and where the industry consensus had him. That's why I made him my ride or die. I believe in the kid's talent. I believe in the opportunity in a Jim Harbaugh, Greg Roman offense. They want to run the ball. The negatives against him are Najee Harris is there. Greg Roman likes to use multiple running backs, and they don't pass the ball. Traditionally, Greg Roman offenses don't involve the running back in the passing game. My counter to that is twofold. If you look at Greg Roman's offenses, traditionally who he's had Tyrod Taylor as his quarterback, Lamar Jackson as his quarterback, guys that don't need to dump off to the running back because they can just run. They can run for a first down when pressure breaks down. While Herbert is mobile, he's not Tyrod Taylor or Lamar Jackson. So I think because Hampton is such a good pass-catching running back, this is how they used him at North Carolina, he is so good in pass protection already that he's not going to come off the field in third down. I think he'll get 35 receptions this year, which isn't like crazy, but like it's enough to keep him afloat. And they run the ball so much, and they run when they get in close. They were top 6 in the NFL last year in running back rushes inside the 5-yard line. So now the argument is just, can he beat out Najee Harris, who's on a 1-year prove-it deal and is already hurt? Whereas Omarion Hampton was a first-round pick. They drafted him in the first round. Sorry, for some reason my TV just went. They drafted him in the first round draft capital. Jim Harbaugh and Greg Roman said we're using a first-round draft pick on a running back. So they are so run-heavy that I'm not worried about whatever share Najee Harris gets. And I think he winds up with 12 touchdowns or more. And I think he's I think he's going to be a borderline RB1 that's currently going at RB2, 3 prices. That's the argument.
Did someone just knock on the door? I mean, what happened there?
Yeah, probably did. They're probably like, who are you talking to in there? In my dressing room. And probably.
Stugotz.
We'll get you out of here.
They maybe want me to. They might want me to come to makeup or get into my wardrobe. Right. They treat me great here at NBC. I got to tell you, Stugotz, they treat me great here.
I know they do. Right. I could tell. You look happy. You are happy. Before you get out of here, one of my favorite things that you do, Matt, before every season is your 100 facts we need to know before the draft in 2025. Can you share just a couple of the important ones that listeners should probably know?
Let me think about this. Okay. I don't have the facts memorized because they're all heavily researched. What I will tell you is that last year, here's one. Calvin Ridley last year played for the Tennessee Titans. And the wide receivers that had at least 120 targets last year, no wide receiver of the players, I should say, because some they're tight. Of the players that got at least 120 targets last year, no one had a higher off-target percentage than Calvin Ridley, meaning that no one had more balls thrown his way that were deemed uncatchable than Calvin Ridley. In fact, last year he only had 4 games, literally only 4 games the entire year where he got at least 7 targets that were deemed catchable. And in those 4 games where he got at least 7 catchable targets, he averaged over 18 fantasy points per game. He would have been wide receiver 7.
Wow.
Last year.
Wow.
If you could just get him an accurate quarterback. Right. Well, last year, Cam Ward was one of the most accurate and prolific deep ball throwers in college. So the argument here is that Calvin Ridley, on a Tennessee Titans team coached by Brian Callahan, coming from Cincinnati, pass first offense, with only Tyler Lockett and Chigakonkwo and some rookies really for target competition, that Calvin Ridley, everyone's just like, Calvin Ridley's been around forever, Tennessee, kind of snoozy. But like in the first game, in the snaps in which Cam Ward played, Calvin Ridley had a 47% target share. So Calvin Ridley, who's going outside the top 20 wide receivers, I think has a easy top 20 wide receiver season in him if he can stay healthy, because I think Cam Ward's the real deal. We'll see. They've got a ways to go in Tennessee, but Cam Ward's going to be able to get the ball to his number one guy accurately.
This is why, this is one of the many reasons I love it. Caleb Williams had when he wasn't pressured, was the 4th best TD to interception ratio amongst all quarterbacks in the NFL. And then you go on to point out how many people they added on the offensive line. And it stands to the reason that Caleb Williams might have a very good year this year. That's why I love the facts, Matthew.
Yeah, listen, I don't think people realize, he had over 500 yards rushing last year off the top of my head. He runs more than you think he does. And I think no offensive line in football improved more this offseason than the Chicago Bears.
Yeah.
And then you add, he's got DJ Moore and Rome Odunze, and they drafted Luther Burden, and they drafted Colston Loveland, and they have Cole Kmet there. And the running backs, are kind of like whatever. DeAndre Swift is interesting. I really like Kyle Monanige, the 7th-round rookie out of Rutgers, as a sleeper this year, as a kind of a late-round pick, because I think he might take over that David Montgomery role in Ben Johnson's offense. But they're going to throw. They're going to throw, and Caleb Williams is going to run. And and the biggest thing about Caleb Williams is so good off schedule. If you saw it, last year, he was just running around for his life, and he's really good at sort of creating in space and trying to run off, and he does these crazy throws where he's running and offhanded, and he throws it 40 yards on a dime across the field. So it's just the kind of thing of if you can give Caleb Williams time, and that's that stat. That's right.
Yes.
When he's not pressured,
give him time. He's good.
Really, in a dysfunctional offense last year. Even in a dysfunctional offense last year, when Caleb Williams had time, he was actually pretty good. And so this year, I think it's going to be a much better offense under Ben Johnson. He's going to have time. They improve the offensive line. He's got weapons. Give me some Caleb Williams this year.
All right. Taylor, you love how he really sunk into the quarterback character there. With Caleb Williams, he was leaning. You saw that. You noticed it, right? He did it again. All right, Matt, get out of here. Fantasy Football Happy Hour. Check it out. He's fantastic. He's all over NBC Sports, all over Peacock. And he's a trailblazing legend who goes on the Tonight Show. It's unbelievable. What a life he has led. You should write a book, Matthew Berry. You should write a book. Okay. I have a ghostwriter. His name's Dan Stanzik. Anyway, Matthew Berry.
By the way, Stugotz.
Yes.
I know we've already reached our limit of things you learn about me.
Yeah.
But I have written a book. I have written this book. It's called Fantasy Life. That's the name of the company, because we're building, I wrote a book in 2013 called Fantasy Life. I probably need to do a sequel because a lot has happened since then, but it was a New York Times bestseller. Yeah. And I'm only bringing that up. One last story here, which you'll like.
I love it.
The only reason I'm bringing that up is because I was on The League. You remember the TV show The League? Yeah. So I was on the show The League, and Jeff and Jackie Schaefer, husband and wife team, friends with. They're awesome, amazing. And so Jeff is a friend, and after my book, it debuted on the New York Times bestseller list and spent a lot of months there. But the day it debuted on the list, Jeff texts me, and he says, it's the favorite text I got after that book. He just said, Matthew, you are now, for the rest of your life, a New York Times bestselling author. Make them call you that. And which I loved. I loved that. I just loved that. That was the only text. He just sent me that, and I love that. And so I'm always just like, oh yeah, you know what? So anyway, that's the only reason I bring it up, was to just tell that story. But yes, Stugotz, I have written a book. I'll send you a copy.
That's
you
very
can get them
cool.
pretty cheap on Amazon right now.
That's
they've been out for a while.
Yeah, but I want a book about your life because from George Carlin all the way through, just call it Barry. That's it. Just call it.
All right.
Whatever you want to call it. But I'm just telling you,
maybe
something about your life, Matt. Not about fantasy football, okay? Just about how interesting your life has been. Anyway, buddy, we love you. Thank you for making time for us all the time. I know it's a busy time for you. You started this interview in 31 fantasy football leagues. You ended it in 39. Congratulations to you.
Thanks, man. I appreciate you guys. You're always so supportive. Always fun to hang with you guys. And I'm looking forward to this league we're all doing. Listen, guys, our entire goal is just to outlast Stugotz. We just all of us, including Dan, we just all
in life outlast
you have Dan controlling his own fantasy team. Like, you think he's going to be making transactions? Get out of here.
No, but that's what's great about it. That's what's amazing about it. So watch Dan. Dan will win the league. Dan will do one move, and Dan will win the league.
The one time he did a league with us, he set it on auto draft, and he made it to the Super Bowl, Matthew. It was
of course he did. Of course he did.
We'll talk to you soon, buddy. We'll talk to you soon. We appreciate it.
See you guys.